Today's video is a little bit of a drama video, but it's for a good cause, so please bear with me. Hey noble ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and I believe that the topic of this video is rather long due. In the last few years we have seen a relative big change when it comes to content production on this platform. Originally YouTube was, I want to say, an entertainment platform, but as the years went on, more and more educational channels started to be born. Whether it be channels teaching you history, hand skills, science, you name it. With YouTube the situation changed. A lot of people with a great passion for historical matters, and even science in that matter, began to be able to share with the masses their opinions and the things that they were studying. So the rise of the educational YouTubers created what could be perceived by some people in academia as a threat. But is it? As content creators, and not really me because I'm relatively small, but there are YouTubers out there that can reach millions and millions of people, and the reach of some educational channels on YouTube is bigger than that of some universities. I'd like to begin by pointing out that in my experience in academia, you've got three different kinds of academics when it comes to their reaction and position towards us educational channels on YouTube. You've got academics that despise us, that think that we shouldn't exist, that we shouldn't be given a platform, that we are just a bunch of idiots, that we know nothing, that our online reach is actually dangerous and that we just shouldn't exist, and they attack us. And today I'm gonna show you one. I've got loads of screenshots of an online conversation that I've had with a person that I think if you are into Roman reenactment, you know exactly who this person is. But you will exactly see how toxic some people in academia can be towards us. Then you have people like the university professor who contacted me a few days ago, an extremely humble person who was so nice, and I'm not going to be able to show you the entirety of the contents of the emails we've been exchanging because they contain personal information, but I will give you a sneak peek just to show you how refreshingly humble some professors and academics and researchers can be. Third, you've got people like Tobias Capwell, academics who understand the value of YouTube and fully embrace it. So even though for some people YouTube as a platform automatically means, oh, whatever you have learned, it means nothing. Well, you can easily prove that wrong by showing a video where you've got someone such as Tobias Capwell. He's not a YouTuber, but he's a fully fledged professional academic who understands the importance of YouTube and is more than happy to collaborate with YouTubers like me, Scholar Gladiatoria, and I hope to soon be able to have him as a guest in one of my videos. It would be an honor. In a moment, I will be reading to you extremely toxic comments, but that's just to show you that I'm not building a straw man here. So be prepared. But before doing that, I'd like to say that one thing the YouTubers have, and I'd like to put myself in this even though there are people that are much more talented than me, is we have a way to reach the younger generation. We know how to make content entertaining, we can make it accessible, we can make it fun. And to those people who think, oh, he's just a YouTuber, why are you even listening to that idiot? Well, they don't understand that this that I've just said is an actual set of skills. And I believe that uniting the knowledge of a professional researcher and academic together with the entertainment skills and editing skills of a YouTuber is a great thing to do. We don't need to be enemies, we can be allies. We educational YouTubers need to be humble enough to recognize that yes, even though I am deeply invested into history and I love studying history, I don't have the amount of knowledge that a professional researcher has on these topics. And academics and researchers need to be humble enough to recognize that even though we might not know as much as they do, we still do have a recognizable, applicable set of skills when it comes to production quality, consistency, entertainment value, and the overall reach that we have towards people that it did come from passion, dedication, and sacrifice. Let's have a look at these comments. Now, the other day I was watching a video by Invicta channel, which is a channel that I very much respect. Julian, the creator, I've had a chance to speak to him on Skype. I know how many weeks of research he puts into the creation and production of his videos, and therefore I respect him. I respect his channel and I respect him as a content creator. So under one of his videos, I wrote the following comment. Fantastic work, extremely well researched. Thanks for posting. To this, a professional academic and author replied, I'm going to cancel out his name because he doesn't have a YouTube channel and it wouldn't be classy. It wouldn't be right to, I don't want my audience to go there and attack him, so I'm going to cancel out his name. But here's what he said. Extremely well researched. Apparently, open quotes, Metatron, close quotes, is just as clueless as the author of this video, inasmuch as both of them are blissfully unaware that the main source of so-called contemporary evidence cited is not even a depiction of Roman soldiers, but of Ptolemaic Greek soldiers. Neither of these guys have any real credentials to consider themselves real historians, but are simply average history buff wannabes who are able to make YouTube videos. A classic example of the blind leading the blind. Now I have to say, the guy pissed me off. He pissed me off because he's attacking me and he's judging me. He's saying I'm blind, and yet without watching my content he says that I proclaim to be a real historian, even though countless times on this channel I've said that I have a massive passion for history, but I'm not a professional historian, I'm a linguist. So being pissed off, I responded and I said, you're very judgy, aren't you? If you know better, make a channel, I'll watch. And even though I said it in a little bit of an angry way, I meant it when I said that I'll watch, because even though I might not like the way he speaks, I do recognize the fact that this guy knows what he's talking about. Then Seferino joins the fight and he says, shut the hell up and make your own channel. I can't condone the word usage, but... So this person replies first to Seferino and says, I write books on these subjects and run military museums. YouTube channels are for wannabes unable to do these things professionally and for an audience that thankfully know a bit less about the subjects than the channel maker. And then he replies to me by saying, I do know better, and if you had read my book about the Roman army, it even has an Italian language edition in addition to French, German and English. Then again, you clearly know I speak English and now you're just boasting how many translations your book has got. You wouldn't have been so quick to praise some of the misinformation presented as fact in this video, which, while well known to be fallacious among real historians, is something you seem to have taken seriously. You should really modify the cheek pieces on your Imperial Gallic helmet too, so it conforms to and properly protects your face, like the helmet was designed to. The serious, experienced, more knowledgeable Roman reenactors, living history interpreters are laughing at you. The only reason why you even have a reasonably authentic helmet of this type, made in India for a reasonable price, is because I actually took some of the European-made museum quality helmets seen in my book to one of the major replica companies there, so they could finally make reasonably accurate copies. Okay, to that I reply, Mr. I am not in any way, shape or form undermining your knowledge on the subject, and I'd be more than happy to read your book and learn from a more experienced researcher. I still think, however, that Invicta channel is a fantastic channel, and I know Julian puts a lot of time in the making of his videos. I praise him, and I will continue to do so, not because I think he's infallible, but because it's absolutely worth of praise that a young man takes so much time to research a subject as complex and deep as Roman history. I am well aware that the helmet I have right now is a cheap replica with a lot of problems, as I have said on my videos already, had you watched them. I have also said I wanted to commission a helmet from the Postelac brothers, but I couldn't use that budget right at this moment. If, as you put it, the serious, experienced, more knowledgeable Roman reenactors, living history interpreters are laughing at me, then I say, let them laugh. In Italian we have a saying, il riso abbonda nella bocca degli stolti, which translates as laughter abounds in the mouths of fools. But I doubt serious researchers laugh at other people just because they have a cheap helmet. Last but not least, videos such as these and mine are not university level of course, but they work marvelously as an entry level for young people to spark an interest in the ancient world. I've always said on my channel that I'm not a professional historian, I'm just a history enthusiast, and I redirect them to people like, I suppose, yourself. Since you have pointed out that we can learn a lot from you, I'd like to point out that a well-mannered approach to discussion is as important, if not more important, to learn if one wishes to attract new people into the beauty of this field of research. If you treat people like they are below you, you can be the most knowledgeable person in the world, no one will want to listen. With this, what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't matter if you have a degree, it doesn't matter if you are extremely knowledgeable, if you treat people like they're below you, if you think that people just need to shut up and listen, you've got it all wrong. I am grateful for each single one of you who choose to put up with me, listen to me and watch my content. Knowledge is supposed to open your mind. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. This researcher/author also replies to Ceferino by saying, "Do you really think you speak for everyone? I suspect you have never read a scholarly book about this subject and simply believe everything you watch on YouTube. But before YouTube, people learned things from reading books, and my book on this subject has been sold in several museum gift shops, translated into 4 different languages, and has been in publication longer than you have probably been alive. Me. Many people all over the world have informed me it was their inspiration to begin Roman reenactment, and it has been a source for filmmakers, artists, military, figure sculptures, etc. And what I believe was the largest ancient Roman living history event ever held in Italy at the Ostia Archaeology Park. Of the hundreds of reenactors that attended, I was asked to take charge because of my knowledge and accomplishments in this field." I'm sorry, but as a real historian, educator and museum professional for over 40 years, when I see wannabe historian YouTubers spouting erroneous information about a subject I'm very familiar with, I feel compelled to correct them. Imperial Viking joins the fight and he says something very relevant. He might not have 3 university degrees and peer-reviewed publications, but man, this guy is wise. The most cringy rant I've read on YouTube for quite some time. Well, I mean, I can't disagree. If you're a proper historian, you're currently putting people off more than making them excited in any way to read anything you have written. Absolutely. Spot on. Your bitterness and your inability to handle it is frankly pathetic. Well, no need to use words like pathetic, I can't really condone that, but he has a point. This great academic finally responds to me and says, "Just because a replica Roman helmet is cheap made in India does not necessarily mean they're not authentic." I know that, I never said that. When I showed the British archaeologist Mike Bishop, a knowledge authority on Roman military equipment, the more authentic yet cheap type helmet replica, which I assisted the Indians in making, much like yours, he thought very highly of them. Again, me. Stating they were actually more authentic than those made by European craftsmen at 10 times the price. This was because he knew, as I did, the most real rank-and-file Roman helmets were mass-produced and bore the same hammer mark, crooked riveting and other characteristics of so many real Roman helmets, which the European craftsmen would never leave in helmets which they charged 5 to 10 times as much for. Which I have said again on my videos several times, specifically quoting Bishop, but you don't watch my content, so... My criticism was not that you had a cheap Indian helmet, it was because you didn't bother to modify the helmet to fit your face properly, as any real Roman or more savvy and serious Roman reenactor would have done. I refer to the proper alignment of the cheekpiece cups. Perhaps you could have just said that without all the rest of name-calling and belittling. My criticism of Invicta's program on Roman tunic colors was his not bothering to research the original source material that was so important to his case for Roman tunic color, when it is common knowledge among classical historians that the soldiers on the Nilotic mosaic from Praeneste, which is citing as Romans, are in fact Macedonians and possibly some native Egyptians in the army of King Ptolemy of Egypt from hundreds of years earlier! Exclamation mark. Which again is an interesting point, you could have just said that, without needing to attack or insult Invicta. And then you topped it off by praising him for how well researched the presentation was. Yes, because 1 or 2 mistakes don't undermine all the rest that there is on his videos. I never said Invicta makes perfect videos. I don't make perfect videos. In fact, find one content creator on YouTube who never makes a mistake. Not gonna happen. But I still do appreciate all the rest of the good information that he shares, which definitely overshadows the occasional mistakes he makes, and hopefully it overshadows the occasional mistake I make. I just have to expect more from people who give themselves flashing stage names like the Invicta or Metatron, as if you fashion yourselves to be some kind of historian superheroes instead of just regular guys who like to make history videos on YouTube. I find it silly that you attack our names. A name is just a name, and perhaps I'll make a dedicated video to it because it happens just too often. It doesn't matter if we call ourselves Scalagrim, or if we call ourselves Metatron, or if we call ourselves Fiery Winged Egyptian Warrior. It's just a YouTube name. With my response to him that he never replied to, I kind of bring forth the main point I'd like to make for this video. Here it is. As I have already told you, I said multiple times on my channel that I'm not a professional historian. My subscribers know that. Your criticism of my YouTube name is uncalled for and petty. I am free to call myself whatever flashy name I want, and so does Invicta or any other channel. You find it silly, well, you're not the typical age that watches YouTube videos, so that's not designed for you. I'm sure you'll understand. It is in fact an artistic expression of us content creators. Also, note the high level of respect I've showed you in my responses. I have acknowledged your credentials and your deep understanding of these subjects. You instead called me a YouTube wannabe, so you clearly demonstrated you have no respect for me or Julian here. We might have a lot to learn in terms of the history we share, but you surely have a lot to learn in terms of how to be polite and respectful to other people. For your information, since you have multiple times mentioned your credentials, I have a university degree, cum laude, and I'm a doctor in languages and compared cultures from the University of Naples. I hate having to give my credentials because it makes me feel pretentious. But when people call me out as if I'm just a guy who opened the channel and never opened a book in his life, no, I have studied. It's just that I don't think that any piece of paper that I have gives me the right to look down on people. It doesn't matter if you have a degree, it doesn't matter if you're a young guy or a young girl. We share a passion, that's all I care for. I have also had teaching positions in several schools as a teacher and a language expert to the EU funds of university and research. You may see me as just a YouTube wannabe who knows nothing, but your judgment was off. I use YouTube because it's a fantastic tool which makes learning for the youth a lot less boring than any other traditional method. The point I'm trying to draw is that people like this exist. Our audiences are smart people. They understand that YouTube is not gonna give you a university degree. They understand that this is just partly entertainment, partly education. Of course, to my audience, I promise, and I always do, that I will put as much research as possible into my videos. I take a lot of responsibility. I feel the responsibility of the online voice that I have, and when I make a mistake, I say it. I say it publicly. I even made a debunking video on one of my own early videos, and I'm more than happy to say when I stand corrected. We never said that we will never make mistakes, because again, even academics make mistakes. I still think there is a huge value in the way so many people have told me and other YouTubers in the community of the sword that the only reason why they decided to get a university degree in history is because we ignited a passion into them. And there is a lot of value to that. And people like this don't see that value, and it's a shame. Now look at a professor and an academic and see how humble he is as he reaches me. He reaches out to me. It's Professor Lockley, because of the video made on the Yaska. I'm not gonna read the email again because I don't have his permission to do so. I mean, I never asked. But he starts the email like this: Dear Raffaello, thank you so much for replying. I really did enjoy your program. And then he goes on and he says that, so, you know, he liked some of the things I said, but he also has a few other things that he'd like to bring corrections. And then he said we can talk about it. And then he says, I sincerely admire your work and that of other YouTube creators. That's wonderful. It is a humbling experience to be treated so well and with such a degree of respect by a proper university professor whose knowledge is clearly higher than mine. I then replied to him and said, hello professor, thank you very much for reaching out. I'm honored by your email, I'm glad you liked my video, and I will be more than happy to learn from you. This is what we should do for the future of this platform. Collaborations with professionals. We don't have to be enemies. The serious and professional academic world and the YouTube educational channels can coexist, and it will be beneficial for both, as long as your mission is to educate more people and make sure that more and more youth will appreciate the beauty of historical research. I'm your ally. But when the only thing you're trying to do is to have people kneel down and worship you because you know so much better and everyone else is just below you, then not only I do not want to collaborate with a person like this, and neither do they want to collaborate with me, of course, but I also say, please learn from people like Professor Lockley. Let me know what you think in the comments below, noble ones. Thank you so much for your opinions and for watching this video. I'm really looking forward to see what you think about all of this situation. Thank you so much for watching and supporting me as always. I appreciate every single one of you, and thank you so much for making this dream of mine, the idea of being able to share my passion with the world, come true. Thank you very much for watching, and remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Go get that degree, but stay humble and stay noble. Goodbye.